Hey everyone. So I want to talk about regime change and the possibility for regime change and where we are right now, because we can get lulled into this sense that things are kind of like static, and because we're just looking at what is done at the diplomatic level, or at the military level. Are there attacks going on? And in between, when there's negotiations, we sort of feel like things are in this holding pattern, and maybe even Iran's getting stronger. Oh my gosh, they're selling oil. But I really believe, based on a number of different signals, and I'm going to share with you a number of clips in this video, that the Iranian regime might be closer to falling than we even realize. Okay, so let's take a look and we'll make an assessment. Maybe you'll disagree with me and you'll let me know in the comments. But this is what I want to talk about now. Like, what are the prospects for regime change? What might it look like? So let's start off with just a clip which might have flown under the radar. It was a very interesting little comment that Trump made that really indicated some serious escalation coming. Now, we know there's escalation. This one isn't really about regime change, but it speaks to the direction that Trump is headed right now. Let's take a look. Very, very short clip here.
But when we did this, we thought oil would go much higher, and it didn't go very high. And now it's coming way down, and you're going to see oil drop very low. Now, maybe we'll do some other things that could lift it a little bit, but I don't think it's going to lift it a lot at all.
Now, look at that. Trump just said, after talking about how oil had gone up and then it came down, he said, no, we're going to do some things that are going to make it go a little higher. Now, I think that there's a very interesting dynamic with the price of oil, that it's not just about the fact that, when oil is high, it's bad for Trump, and when oil goes down, everything's fine, and if it goes up again, it's going to be bad. Not necessarily. You see, when the oil started rising and Americans got all skittish and Americans got all worried, and because of the rising price of gas, and Trump said, don't worry, you'll see it's going to come down. Enter in the MOU, Straits of Hormuz somewhat open. The price of oil starts going way down, gets all the way down to lower than it was even before the conflict. Because that happened so quickly, I believe that Trump understands that even if he goes back to kinetic action and the prices of oil do go up again, the consumer confidence that it's temporary and that it's going to come down quickly is so much higher. You see, the first time it spiked, when Trump was saying, don't worry, it's going to come down quickly, okay, you could trust him or not trust him. But now when he says that, people just saw that exact same thing happened. It gives Trump more leeway for kinetic action. So I just wanted to add that to set the stage for the next clips that we're going to look at here. But now I want to play you a couple of clips that of Trump speaking that really give us an indication that he may be entertaining the possibility of regime change more than he has. Now, just let me back up. I pointed out in a video that I made yesterday that in Trump's comments at NATO, and he spoke about Iran a number of different times at NATO, and he said different things each time. They weren't contradictory. He just added to what he was saying. And one of the things that he started talking about more at NATO that we hadn't heard from him in a couple of months was he was talking more about the Iranian people and about how many of them were killed by the regime, and going back to talking about the old crimes of the regime against America. We hadn't heard a lot about that in the last month and a half, 2 months during the negotiations. In fact, he was even going a little soft, saying there's really been a regime change already. These are more reasonable people. And he's reverted back to a rhetoric where he does not see these new people as a new regime, and he's reminding everyone about all the people that they've killed. In fact, I made a video a couple of weeks ago where he was asked about the killing of Iranians, and he brushed it off kind of and said, oh, that was done kind of under the previous people, implying that the newer people aren't of the same ilk. But now he's emphasizing all the stuff they're doing to the Iranian people. But I want to share with you two clips that, to me, are also pointing in the direction of Trump thinking along the lines of regime change. Let me also just add one more caveat. When we're analyzing stuff that Trump says, we know that he's off the cuff, that he's not working from a script. We went from Joe Biden, the most scripted president ever, he didn't say a word that he wasn't approved, to President Trump, who's very unscripted. But unscripted does not mean that he's erratic in his decision-making. I believe he's very deliberate in his decision-making. He deliberately also is unpredictable. That's part of his strategy. He doesn't want to show his cards. But because he's so unscripted in what he says, I believe that there's an authenticity there that you really can get a sense of the trajectory. You can get a sense of the direction he's headed. That's what I'm saying in this video. Let's take a look at these two clips of President Trump and do a little reading between the lines. Oh, wrong one. Here we go.
I don't like him at all. And frankly, I think we waste a lot of time with them. I think we should just do our business. Can you imagine? They start shooting bombs, actually missiles at ships yesterday. Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, a couple of others, and I don't think they know what the hell they're doing. But they're bad people, very bad people. I think they're incompetent, by the way. Because if they were competent, they would have made a deal a long time ago, like how about 47 years ago? So they've been in trouble for 47 years, and we took out their first set of leaders. We took out their second set of leaders. They want to take out the U.S. leader, me. I'm on every list. I saw things this morning. I'm on every single one of their lists. And so far, I guess I've been a little bit lucky, but that maybe doesn't last very long. Because that's the way it goes. But we have great people, but these are evil, sick people, and we have to rid their cancer. Their cancer. And you know what you do? You got to cut out cancer early. And that's the way I feel.
I mean, that to me sounds like regime change talking, reminding himself and everyone that they want to kill him, saying that he saw lists this morning or that morning that he was on, but also talking about them as a cancer. And what do you do with cancer? You got to get rid of them. That's how I feel. And now take a look at this one. Similar to the previous one, but he says something else.
Their leaders are gone. They had leaders, they're gone. And they had another set of leaders, they're gone. Now they have another set of leaders, they may be gone. Who knows?
That is the first time I have heard President Trump indicate any possibility of taking out the next set of leaders, the ones who are currently in charge. Again, I'm not saying that he's announcing regime change, but it sounds like he's a whole lot more open to it than he was just a short time ago. Now, as part of this discussion, what I want to now share with you is an incredible clip. This is about a week old from Brigadier General Amir Avivi. Now, Brigadier General Avivi, I've talked about him before, a national figure in Israel, a very important person. He's a retired brigadier general who founded the Israel Defense and Security Forum, which is a think tank made up mostly of retired senior military personnel in Israel. And they have had a tremendous effect on Israeli policy. They're very well connected people, obviously, and they do tremendous work. A big part of the role they've played is really pushing back on the left-wing slant that a lot of the official military establishment has, and they've been an important counterbalance. General Avivi also recently announced that he's going to be running in the next Knesset elections. We don't know what party he's going to be part of. I'm a huge fan. But I say all this introduction as a way of laying the groundwork here. He is one of the best informed people in Israel on defense and security issues. And it's not just that he runs this think tank. He is plugged in. He talks to people in the prime minister's office. He talks to people in the military brass on a regular basis. He serves as an advisor to them. He knows what's going on. And look at what he says in this briefing. Okay, this is going to be a few minutes long. It is well worth it. Check this out.
I believe that once all these tankers will get out of the Strait of Hormuz, it will be much, much easier to go back and deal with the different issues we need to deal with. Now, from an Israeli point of view, I can say this: Israel is not going to give up the goal of bringing down this regime. This goal is taken very, very seriously. And we are really mobilizing the whole Israeli defense establishment. Many, many capabilities, many preparations, many things that are going on behind the scenes to push a reality where the terms for bringing down the regime will be created. We have done a lot through these kinetic attacks, 40 days, through the blockade that the US did. You see the impact, by the way, in Lebanon. Hezbollah is in a really bad shape. They're not getting almost any help. Iran is not able to support them. And we see how difficult it is for them. But there are many plans behind the scenes in the IDF, in the Air Force, intelligence, other intelligence communities, all working around the clock to deal with Iran in a way that will really bring a collapse to their capabilities and create the terms for a change of regime. And when we'll do it, it won't take a lot of time. We can do it very fast. And the question is when. When and what kind of coordination we'll have with the US. And I'm hoping that we're still aligned and things will be done together. But if Israel needs to deal with this alone, we're perfectly capable to do so.
General, what you're saying is very intriguing. You're giving us just enough information to give optimism, but not enough information to give clarity on what is next to come. I mean, I'm curious. Israel has not yet been successful, nor has the U.S. in taking down the regime in Iran. What other mechanisms are there that can be successful if it has not yet been achieved?
So there is a whole bank of targets that Israel is building that can be attacked very, very fast and very decisively, and really impact, Iran furthermore. We saw, examples like the last attack the IDF did after Iran shot ballistic missiles was once again against the petrochemical industries of Iran. So, you can attack places that will bring even furthermore a serious collapse of this regime's economy in a way that they're not sustainable. And it's a matter of decision. I mean, we're perfectly able to do so. We are perfectly able to continue degrading what remains of their leadership and, of course, military capabilities, which have been degraded dramatically anyway. Iran is in a very, very, very bad shape. Very bad shape. So, you see the rhetorics, might sound like, even people say, they're winning. No, they're not. They're in a terrible shape. The one thing that they're still able to do is project some power on the strait. And I think that there's one thing I would expect the US to do is to take over militarily the strait in a way that they completely control it, which is not happening now. It's partially happening. And I think much more could have been done and should be done. I don't think Iran in the future should have any power projection over the Strait of Hormuz, and certainly not demand tolls or, impact the freedom of shipment in the Strait in international waters. And this is something the US should insist on. And as I said, from an Israeli point of view, we're not going to miss this historical opportunity. And I think Iran knows that. This is why, they said, if you stay in Lebanon, if you continue attacking, if you don't withdraw, we'll shoot at you. Are they shooting? No. The best thing that can happen to Israel is that Iran will shoot us. We're just waiting for this. Give us the excuse to finish the job.
Wow. Is that wow? So that's General Amir Avivi, laying it out there. Regime change is certainly possible, certainly capable of it. And I know that everyone says, well, how can you do it without putting boots on the ground? What is regime change? It's messy. You break it. You bought it. Look at Iraq. No. There are all kinds of options for regime change. And regime change can happen as a result of other things that are going on. Remember, the economic conditions that led to the riots, to the mass demonstrations in Iran in December and January, which were the precursor to this whole war, those economic conditions have only gotten worse. And we have to kind of understand that regime change is not necessarily about taking kinetic action at this or that point. And as he said the Israelis have a lot of tools at their disposal and are ready to roll when the time is right. But I want to play you one more clip. And this is a clip of Victoria Coates. Victoria Coates used to be, I think, Deputy National Security Advisor. And she is VP at the Heritage Foundation for National Security. And she was on Fox Business the other day. I think it's Fox Business. Where's this clip? She was on Fox Business the other day talking about regime change, talking about the state of Iran right now, of Iran's economy and where they are. And this is a good way to end this conversation about regime change. Let's take a look at this clip.
Well, Dagan, Brian, great to be with you. And I hope everybody had a wonderful 4th when we had that huge celebration and the folks in Iran had the big funeral. And I think that contrast was very telling. And, you know, Dagan, I strongly agree. I don't want them to sell a single barrel. And I am fine with reimposing the blockade. But the fact of the matter is that $6 billion, $4 billion, $10 billion, that's not going to save them at this point. The projections right now is that that economy is going to shrink 6% this year. That is shrinking, not just small growth. They're actually going to contract by 6%. You can't go on that way. And so by revoking that waiver for oil sales, not that they were selling that much anyway, because they're not a very good seller, that people don't really want to put their trust in them. That's just not going to save them. So we can, in many ways, just sit back and watch the slow motion train wreck that Secretary Bessent has put in action.
So does that mean that the American people should expect this kind of pattern of, I think you've used the term, others have, mowing the lawn to go on for a long time? If Iran hits ships, we hit them, then we step back, see what happens. But there is no kind of decisive finish the job move, Victoria. Is that what people should expect?
I don't think this is necessarily going to go on for a long time, Brian, just because what Iran is going through is so dire. And the sites that the president directed us to hit tonight, these are going to be electricity generating plants. Next come the bridges, other critical infrastructure. They just can't go on like this. And it was interesting. I'm just back from Iceland, of all places. I visited the place where President Reagan met with Chairman Gorbachev of the Soviet Union in 1986, almost 40 years ago. And that set in motion a 2-3 year process that brought down the Berlin Wall. So I wouldn't see this as a long-term thing, but it might be a little bit of a process like that, where they are sowing into themselves right now the seeds of their own demise.
There you go. You see, this is what she just said. That last thing she said, comparing it to the Soviet Union, is so critically important. See, we think when we talk about the need to get rid of the Iranian regime and what the Americans and the Israelis have been doing, and we think of it as like we need to go in there and install a new regime and bring it down. But it doesn't work that way. And it doesn't even mean that in the kinetic conflict itself, the regime is somehow taken out, like Venezuela style. You go in there and you remove them. It could happen in other ways. Think about regimes that have fallen that we've seen. We saw the Syrian regime fall. We saw, those of us who remember the Soviet Union falling. Even the Soviet Union, remember when it fell, it was kind of, it's always shocking at the last moment, because in the days and weeks leading up to it, it's not like there's an announcement, oh, the regime is about to fall. It just kind of, all the forces converge and then boom, it just kind of collapses. But it can also take time to play out. And she's pointing out the economic contraction of the Iranian economy, the contraction of the economy after what happened last year. It was already in collapse mode and it's getting even worse. And the people are not going to get any less restless. And if America and Israel just continue to degrade them militarily and degrade their leadership, and then she indicated that they're going to start hitting civilian infrastructure. Oh my gosh, that was a bombshell. I don't know where she got that from, but she's as well informed as anyone. And we know that as General Avivi pointed out, when Israel was hit last time by the Iranians, it was like that one day where they fired missiles at Israel a couple of weeks back. Israel hit petrochemical infrastructure, and they've been silent on Israel ever since. One of the most interesting developments in the last couple of days is that with America bombarding the Iranians and Trump declaring the ceasefire over, the Iranians have been attacking Bahrain and Kuwait. They haven't been attacking Israel. They haven't been attacking Saudi Arabia. They haven't been attacking the Emirates for all kinds of reasons. I was thinking of making a video just about that, about what they're not doing. But notice that they're not attacking Israel. Why not? Why is Hezbollah not attacking Israel over this? Because they're not. Why not? You know why? Because they're weaker than ever. They know that if they attack Israel, Israel will do what General Avivi was talking about. They know that Israel has the capability to do so much damage. So put all of this together, everything that I've just said. President Trump is looking more amenable to regime change. General Avivi tells us that don't think for a moment that Israel can't do this. Israel has all the capabilities to do this and is working on this round the clock. And then you have what Victoria Coates said. Hey, look, yes, they sold a few $1 billion. That's not going to change the atrophying and collapse of the Iranian economy that leads to the real destabilization that ultimately leads to the collapse of the regime. How long can it go on for? So we shouldn't lose heart, as with all the ups and downs, the 2 steps forward, the 1 step back, sometimes 2 steps back, and we get all panicky about, oh no, Trump is turning on us, or this is going sideways, the regime is going to survive. And I've been guilty of that too, certainly. But let's keep a level head. Let's keep a level head. This regime is very weak and getting weaker by the day, and we could see the regime change sooner rather than later. All right, thanks for watching. Keep sharing, liking, subscribing. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and please tell other people about what we're doing here. I think it's valuable. That's why I do it, and I appreciate all your comments. I read as many of them as I can. Keep them coming, and thank you. God bless.